Hey, good morning, my dear friends, and welcome to beautiful Surfside, California. This absolutely gorgeous Sunday morning. Man, I can't tell you how beautiful it is here. It's like maybe 75, 78 degrees already here this morning. That ocean looks like the Sea of Cortez. It's beautiful. There's no wind here. It's flat, calm, and beautiful. And man, do we have a lot going on in northern Baja and southern California that we've got to talk about. In fact, that bluefin tuna bite out on Tanner and Cortez has been terrible. It's been in the toilet. The weather's been up. Are we getting a sign of life? I think so. We'll cover that in just a moment. Santa Cruz albacore, the first time in a decade anybody's caught any albacore that close to home. We'll check on that with a good friend of ours here on the Friedman Adventures family. Coronado Island yellowtail bite sizzles. Marcus Fain was on in a live update this morning already. You need to go back and listen to that. If you're headed to the Coronado Islands or you want to up your yellowtail game, Marcus Fain is your man. He put on a really masterful presentation with yours truly this morning. I asked the questions. He had all the answers. Great stuff. We'll cover the islands, the local scene, the Channel Islands, and so much more. You know what time it is. It's time for the morning briefing. Good morning, my friends. Oh, man, is that good? It has been an extraordinary weekend. Paulina, my co-host, when I am down in Mexico, has been up here with her mother visiting, and we have had an extraordinary time. I can't thank all of you enough for making her and her mom feel so at home here. They have had a great time. We're about ready to have their final breakfast before they drive back to Ensenada, Baja California Norte. Michael Limon will be here, Dan Lightfoot, and a couple of other guys like Mackie. It will be a really beautiful finish to a wonderful trip that so many of you made possible. And yesterday, right here on this beach, what a great time that was. I got to thank Mike for giving the kite demonstration, as well as bringing, a bottle with the line wrapped around it. Sometimes you'll see kids in Mexico fishing that way. Mike, great stuff, my friend. Can't wait to hook up with you again really, really soon. All of you came down. We caught spotfin croaker. We caught a variety of different sharks, guitar fish. We caught yellowfin croaker, some bar perch. It was really fun and pretty darn good fishing in addition to that. And a big crowd here. Everybody made Paulina feel really at home. And she's great too, wandering around, talking to everybody. Really a great situation for sure down here. And I have also got to send my thanks out to JD and Lucky, because Lucky, it was so nice to finally meet you, my friend. Thank you so much for taking the time to come down to Surfside. That meant the world to me, and it was so nice to meet you and give you a big hug. Man, that made my day complete. Thank you so very much, Lucky, and have a great morning. If you don't mind, hit that like button. We deeply appreciate it when you do that. Also, if you could share these videos, that would be fantastic. Subscribe to the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel, and if you don't mind, tick that little bell. You will be notified when there is new content. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Apple Podcasts and Spotify. My friend, good morning to you. Hey, good to see you. So really good stuff. Let's jump into it. We'll go south the border first of all. Down there at Cedros, there's been some really excellent yellowtail action, but this full moon that we went through seemed to put fish in a funk everywhere. And Cedros, while still very, very good, did experience a dip in their yellowtail fishing. In terms of the bite down there around the Bay of LA, that seemed to just be really, really steady. Excellent Dorado, a lot of yellowtail. Some of those big baquetas, those deep water, big grouper type fish were biting really, really well. It's been really, really good fishing. And then we'll bounce you up to Ensenada, where they had some really good signal on the bluefin tuna here about 5 days ago. Really good. And not far at all, just outside of Todos Santos Island, outside of a bank we call the Soledad Bank, in 71 to 73 degree water. It got a little warm there, but those bluefin, 10 to 40 pounds, were really biting. They got a little wind, and that kind of put the kibosh on it, but I think it's temporary. Once that wind lays down, that Ensenada bite should come roaring back. They were biting on those small dart lures like Dawa Sakana, like 120 gram was working really, really well. Also trolled Mad Mac type lures working very well. And I even saw guys throwing a Tatty 45, like a mint color, getting bit on the bluefin tuna offshore. Inshore, it's pretty darn good fishing right now. You get away from the wind, you can have some good sand and calico bass fishing. No question about that. There's some barracuda flurries going around Ensenada, and there's also been an occasional, not all that many, but an occasional halibut and white sea bass. The omnipresent rockfish bite, still really good. Reds, boccaccio, all kinds of bottom grabbers to fill the sack should you fail on the surface action. And of course, there are still yellowtail under the birds out there near Punta Banda, out toward Todos Santos and surrounding area. You find birds picking at the water. They are picking at the bait that the yellows are shoving up to the surface. You get on that and throw an iron in a hurry, and you can make it happen. Don't fish anything less than 40 pound. Not that all the fish are big. There's some 3 to 5 pound yellowtail in there, but the majority are 12 to 20 pounds, pretty sizable yellows, and at times that bites really, really well. There's been some very good local yellowtail action. It's been great fishing out of Ensenada so far this year. All right, let's stay on the theme of Baja, but we'll jump on a long-range boat out of San Diego, the Royal Polaris, down the Baja coast. Experience great, excellent, big yellowtail, awesome fishing. Some of that taking place at night with dropper loop fishing. And man, it was awesome. But in the daytime, a fly line bait was your best friend. 25 to 40 pound. Sometimes you could even throw 60 pound and get a bite. The intensity of the bite was so awesome. Really great fishing on yellows, also yellowfin tuna in the 50 to 80 pound class. That bite has been spectacular also, not only for the Royal Polaris, but everybody who has been down in that neck of the woods. The Royal Polaris went in on the beach. They had kind of a tough travel time yesterday. They didn't make the time they thought to, moving from Alijos Rocks to the Baja coast. So they didn't get in on some really good white sea bass fishing. They had one fish that was 45 pounds. But in there, we've seen some great fishing. The Polaris Supreme just got back in. 6-day trip, 330 yellowfin tuna, 39 yellowtail, and 73 white sea bass. We've seen some really good white sea bass fishing on the coast down there for the long-range boats as they make their journey back to San Diego. So some really, really good stuff. And again, all the boats that are down there are experiencing this kind of fishing and absolutely lovely weather. Unfiled taxes? Shame on you. You can call Tim Marquez of Friedman Adventures, family member right now. Give Tim a call. He's been doing taxes for 35 years. He'll straighten that mess out for you and let you get a good night's sleep for a change. And also, if you have heating and or air conditioning needs, John Lopez from Efficient Heating and Air Conditioning is your man. He will take great care of you. Give John a call today. All right, great long range, great south of the border. Let's go out about 90 to 100 miles from most landings in Southern California to the Tanner and Cortez Bank region, where the weather has been absolutely a pain in the you-know-what. It's been windy, it's been rough, it's been snotty. It's just been crappy weather. Let's put it that way. Guys getting their butts kicked out there, and it hasn't been very pleasant, and the fishing has not been all that consistent. Well, maybe it has been. It's been slow for the most part, but we get a little sign of life from the Pride out of 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro, California. Yesterday, he had limits of bluefin tuna, so that's a good sign, right? I like that. It was mostly that 10 to 40 pound bluefin tuna. He had some barracuda in his count. He had 17 yellowtail in his count. And so that tells you how close he was to San Clemente Island. Pretty darn close, but limits for them. Now, other boats really struggle. The last time I talked to the Pegasus, they were saying the weather's up. Sean Hardigan's on there and saying, weather's up. We have 2 fish on board. They have 11 bluefin tuna presently, but they struggled to get that, and so did several other boats. Now, on the optimistic side also, I just talked to Max on board the Highliner. He's out of San Diego. They decided to get out of that crummy weather, come into less crummy weather, for lack of a better description. Still snotty, but not as bad as out there on Tanner Cortez, closer to San Clemente Island. They kite fished. They ended up with 21 bluefin tuna, but the grade spectacular, 120 to 200 pounds. That is great fishing. I'm telling you, we're kind of getting used to that in Southern California, but we just can't allow that to happen. Spectacular bite on the Highliner. So kind of a mix in terms of what is going on. Old Glory, just talked to them a moment ago. They have, I think, 7 fish so far this morning, but seeing more, and it seems to be biting a little bit better. So slowly but surely, I think we're going to crawl out of the effects of that moon phase. And once this weather stops, and to be perfectly candid with you, I looked at it, and it's going to blow for the next 3, 4, 5 days maybe. I hate to go out too much further than that because those forecasts are unreliable, but we're going to be dealing with this snotty weather. Not that the bluefin and offshore fish won't bite in snotty weather, but it does make things a whole heck of a lot easier working. Your machines work better, sonar and everything else, when you have some better weather. So that is your update out there on Tanner and Cortez. Hopefully that's going to settle down here very, very soon, the weather. But what I'm looking at forecast-wise doesn't look that good. Let's talk islands. We'll start at the Coronado Islands. I'll refer you back to the live interview I did this morning with marine biologist Marcus Fain, who just fished the Coronado Islands and had another spectacular day. He goes into everything you'll need to know to catch those yellows at the Coronado Islands, and he'll talk about what paperwork requirements are. You need a you need a passport to fish Coronado Islands. Great fishing there. It has been a spectacular year, probably the best I've seen in decades at the Coronado Islands. That bite has been really, really good. Nice fish. I mean, you do have some smaller fish, but you got a lot of that 15 to 25 pound fish. The Lucky Bee, a smaller yacht with 5 guys, had limits of yellowtail with 25 yellowtail, 5 bluefin tuna. What a day on the San Diego full day boat out of C4 Sport Fishing, leaving in the morning, fishing until the evening. 93 yellowtail for those boys, 2 bluefin tuna. The Mission Bell's been hot all year long. 28 guys yesterday out of Point Loma Sport Fishing, 46 yellowtail. Great fishing at the Coronado Islands right now. It just seems to keep going and going and going. Yo-yo iron has been super effective. Some surface iron, but more yo-yo, and bait for sure has been the best way to do it. A butt hooked sardine, 25 pound, really good hot bait. Take your time to choose a good hot bait, and that will make all the difference in the world. At San Clemente Island, if you're not offshore and you're fishing the island proper, there's been some sea bass, there's been a few yellowtail, at times pretty good on the yellowtail, and really good calico bass fishing and excellent rock fishing. We look at Catalina Island, really good bonita fishing, scratchier on the calico bass, although overall it's been pretty good. But we took a look at the El Patron. He was there yesterday. Limits of bonita for those guys, and they had a little bit of calico bass, not that great. Pursuit was there. They scratched it. All of those types of fish, whitefish, a few rockfish, a few barracuda, pretty good bonita fishing, a little bit of calico bass for those guys. Most of the guys at Cat experienced that kind of a day yesterday, and a lot of that is due to weekend boat pressure. It should be better tomorrow when we get back to the weekday fishing. Up there in the Channel Islands, we're seeing a little bit of bass, some sand bass along the coast, a little bit of barracuda out there near Santa Cruz Island. Haven't seen a big hit on sea bass or halibut here recently, but all of those species are biting well, and you can always rely on great fishing up there for rockfish. That has been a given, no question about it. And Santa Barbara, same thing. Morro Bay, excellent rock fishing up there in that neck of the woods. We might as well keep going up there north to talk about some albacore that Jens Meyerhoff, he's a great Friedman Adventures family member. Jen said, Phil, we caught albacore here out of Santa Cruz. First time in about a decade that we've seen albacore this far south. That's a great signal. We thought we'd have a good albacore season here in Southern California. As of now, it has not manifested itself. But there is some albacore. That stock, the stock of albacore is in really good shape. The oceanography is what has to change. Albacore like cooler water. But a great trip for those guys. They had 24 albacore for just a couple of guys fishing. That is a great hit. Santa Cruz, first time in a decade we have seen that. Nothing wrong with that. If you're headed to Catalina Island, we highly suggest you do it on the ultra limited load El Patron. They do such a great job out of Long Beach Sport Fishing. Great crew, limited load trips, and a lot of fun. www.longbeachsportfishing.org. And if you're headed to Ventura Sport Fishing, you're going to want to jump on board the Island Spirit. I'm telling you right now, Captain Daniel Hadaway and his crew do such a great job. We just had a trip with them on Friday, and people are still talking about the great time they had. That is Ventura Sport Fishing, 805-676-3474, or you can go to venturasportfishing.com. Really good stuff there. Let's talk local fishing down in San Diego. Those boys down there are picking away at the sand and calico bass. Sometimes it's pretty darn good. The Premier had good sand bass fishing, the daily double, half-day boat in the afternoon yesterday, had 2 white sea bass, a yellowtail, and over 60 calico bass. They've had great local fishing down in that neck of the woods. We've been seeing a little bit of bass up there around Dana and Oceanside. We've seen some really good calico and sand bass fishing here in the Long Beach, San Pedro area, but that backed off. I think the weekend boat pressure got to it a little bit. For sure, there was a lot of boats on top of it, so I think that had something to do with it. On board the Victory, they had a few bass, some sculpin, but that was all she wrote. Sculpin, rockfish up there out of Marina del Rey. That's been the situation. If you're going surf fishing, and we had a heck of a day down here yesterday, catching a variety of different species, you're going to want to stop at Big Fish Bait and Tackle down on the corner of Seal Beach Boulevard and Pacific Coast Highway. They've got everything your little heart desires with great surf fishing gear, and they have gear where you can catch blue marlin on big bluefin tuna. They've got it all, and they've got your surf fishing baits that will really help you to catch more fish in the SoCal surf. Not only that, they're giving away a free custom surf fishing rod every single month. You can go in there, you buy the ruler that they sell that you'll measure your catch with and upload to their their Instagram page, and then you're in. You don't have to pay any more money to get in. Visit Big Fish Bait and Tackle. Find out about how you can win a free custom rod, not only this month, but next month and the subsequent month. You can win it every single month. We had great fishing here yesterday. As I mentioned in the preview, we saw really excellent yellowfin croaker fishing. We saw some spot fin croaker. Didn't see any corvina, which kind of surprised me, and nobody was throwing a lucky craft. I'm sure there's some halibut lurking around here. All right, one more thing. The who was it here? Let me find this. What's wrong with me? Somebody reported catching and releasing a blue marlin yesterday, and I believe it was there out of Dana Wharf Sport Fishing. What the heck? Where is that blue marlin hiding? There it is on the Highliner. Man, that took me forever to find that. The Highliner reported a blue marlin. Now, if that's not an error, that just adds a layer of mystery to this year. Here we are in a La Nina, colder water now. That's why we're catching sculpin and rockfish here. And then you get a warm water species like a blue marlin in the mix. That's pretty crazy stuff. Helena reported a blue marlin caught locally yesterday. That's pretty phenomenal. All right, my friends, always great spending time with you. Hope you're having a lovely Sunday. We'll have more updates as the day goes on. Anything else, make sure you're checking our Facebook page and our Instagram and TikTok. As always, it was a pleasure to see so many of you down here at the beach yesterday. And if I don't see you at an event in the very near future, I hope to see you somewhere really, really soon. Have a great Sunday and take care, my friends.